before. Now the market has taken a turn for the worse, because yes, we were at the highest point of the trading session, close to that 20,200 mark, but a correction of almost 50 points from there. And right now we are meandering around that 20,150 mark. In fact, that's been the zone that the market has been largely toying around with. So that 20,150 is what we are watching out for. Separately, what else is happening in the market is the roaring rally which is there when it comes to the PSU banking space. There's no stopping that rally at all. Look at that solid 4% move coming in, and this is after that 7 to 8% up move that we saw on the PSU banking index in the week gone by. So an additional 4% coming through. Of course, it's hit a record high yet again. Central Bank, IOB, Bank of India, PNB, Bank of Maharashtra, pick up any of these names, up anywhere between 5 to 20%. So that's the kind of momentum. The momentum is also quite visible in the auto stock. So of course, M&M is something which is doing quite well. In the last 2 minutes, there's a perk up in some other names like Titan, etc. as well. Having said that, the broader markets are a bit skittish, so not very strong cues coming in from there. But overall, it's a decent market that we have for ourselves at hand, especially given the handover that we've got. Real estate, metals, IT, these are your key underperformers. So of course, real estate has been the best performing sector so far for the year, but right now it's underperforming in the trading session. But let's try and decode all of that with our guests on the show as well. Nooresh, Merani, Kunal Bothra as well as Varun Saboo join us on the show to talk to us about the way forward. Kunal, let's begin with you. It's 20,150 that we keep toying around. When are we likely to head above the mark of 20,200?
Well, hopefully soon. Today, I think the mood of the market is a bit somber because my sense is that most of the large cap names like HDFC Bank, etc., most of these large cap stocks have taken a bit of a back seat. But on the other hand, I think the market texture is still buoyant. You've seen so many large caps and mid caps still getting to a breakout. PSU banking stocks looking quite strong, charged up for many of the names, even after such a kind of a strong up move. Then you have large cap stocks like Titan, etc., which are also doing quite well for themselves. So there are a mix of large cap names which are looking strong. There are a mix of mid cap names which are looking quite attractive. It's just that the index is a bit somber because of the handover from the global markets. But I still expect that hopefully in the next couple of days, we should probably come back to that 20,200 mark. But I think the more important index which I would be bullish on would be Bank Nifty, even from current levels.
Bank Nifty continue to be quite bullish. Wanted your take, Nooresh, about PSU banking space. Of course, today the fag end of the PSU banking names which are doing okay. IOB, where you only highlighted that the free float is very limited. Even other names for that matter. Which are the stocks you would still want to bet on, and which are the stocks you would completely stay away from in that entire PSU basket?
So I would completely stay away from the smaller names, which is where the float is terribly low. Floats of 2% in a IOB. IOB is now at a market cap greater than Canara Bank, PNB, as well as a Union Bank of India. Same is the case with the UCO Bank and other names. So the place you want to bet is one, State Bank of India, because that is coming back closer to 620 mark, which is the previous top. So if something which looks still relatively interesting is State Bank of India, and then maybe if you want to play momentum, there is Indian Bank, purely for the fact that this is one of the only PSU banks which is say 2-3% away from an all-time high. Other names, the smaller ones which are going berserk, are still down 40-50% from the highs made in 2007, 2015, etc. But if you look at an Indian bank, the stock is closer to an all-time high. So that's a trade where one would have a strict stop loss at 410 and could play some momentum. But I would go with State Bank of India. Also, the fact that Can Bank and PNB and Bank of Baroda, which I used to like, have already moved up quite a bit. So the only place where the risk reward is still left is State Bank of India, and then maybe a Indian bank.
Okay, point taken. Let me also highlight some of the stocks which are buzzing around on news flow. So let's pull up the stocks and news. Bharat Electronics from the entire defense pack is quite excited. The company specifically won orders of almost 3,000 crores from Cochin Shipyard. But other than that, Defense Acquisition Council managed to approve 45,000 crore worth of projects over the weekends. Of course, the entire defense basket is doing quite well. Vodafone Idea, that stock has taken a tumble for the worse. When we started off the trading session, it was well in the green, started with a 2 to 3% gap up. Right now, it's lower by 6%, so correction of almost 9% on an intraday basis. And that's because the company clarified to the exchanges that the reports regarding getting acquired are incorrect and they're not in any talks with the likes of Amazon, etc. So clarification coming in there and reversal of move. Tata Steel, of course, the other one, which has announced the restructuring of the UK business. Yes, it's getting that additional 500 million pound from the UK government, but there is this uncertainty regarding the employee headcount reduction plans, and that's the reason that stock has cooled off as well a bit. Varun is also with us. So Varun, let's start by discussing the defense stocks if we can. Which are your favorites and what are the house views on defense as a pack?
Don't as such have official coverage on defense names. But yeah, if one has to ask my opinion, I think the better names would be HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics, or BEL for that matter. Yeah.
What is the right way of looking at defense? Because order books are there, big picture in terms of government commitment is there, private sector is also getting a lot of business, and the fact that we are looking at a multi-year cycle. What is the best way of looking at defense? A great story but expensive stocks, or right now stocks are up, but the long-term story is also intact?
So the good part about our market is that so we keep rewarding growth, right? And considering how the geopolitical situation has been globally and the kind of focus that our government has gotten towards defense, it's very clear that this order booking story, not only domestically, but also in terms of exports, is going to become bigger. And India is gaining a lot of grounds, particularly when we are seeing orders coming across the globe towards India. And we are proving it that, the kind of technology we are upgrading into, we are going to be making a big mark in terms of defense globally as well.
Okay. Kunal, should one just avoid Vodafone Idea? This is one stock where it's patronized by retail guys. It's just patronized for the 10% move. It's a 10 rupee stock. 10% is 1 rupee. That's a big move. And if you get the trend right, 10% in Vodafone Idea is not a moonshot. It is something which has regularly happened in the past.
Yeah, it's regularly happened, Nikunj, but then the idea is to try and position risk also along with it. So, in fact, on a day like yesterday, that's on Friday, the stock was up 10%. I think 11.8 or 12 is where the stock had reached. Today, the stock is sub or just hitting that 11.2 odd mark. So, attaching risk to these kind of stocks it just goes out of the normal statistics which you look out for. A 20% swing in a short span of time can skew the positions, and specifically in such kind of stocks you don't buy smaller quantities because it's assumed to be cheaply denominated. We tend to retail traders tend to buy a higher quantity, and then the risk once it starts to get factored into the stock price, we see a sharper correction to the stock and just goes out of the normal statistics which you look out for. So that's the only reason why I typically avoid such kind of names.
The story is smaller PSU banks, and remember, in smaller PSU banks, the big concern is that a lot of these banks are held very closely by government. After the recap and after the entire way how banks were rescued, the government holding, because the government pumped in capital, and when you pumped in capital, you did it via the equity route. The government holding in some of the stocks like I think UCO Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, IDBI Bank, okay, that's up for disinvestment. But the central bank, the government holding is very high. So the free float right now is something which could be also a function of what is happening in terms of the intraday action. A lot of these stocks may not be marked for delivery, but the temptation to buy a two-digit stock, the temptation to buy these high beta names is so strong that I will not be surprised that today, by the time the stocks will settle down, they would have traded multiple times of their free float. So imagine whatever is the free float in the market, by the time the data will come out, it will be multiple times of free float. And typically when that happens for 2 or 3 days, those stocks, they hit a pause button. Look at railway stocks now. They've officially stopped climbing. Nooresh, how would you approach the railway stocks now? The linear move is getting over. But do you think they will turn volatile or they will crack?
So once we have had such a huge rally in a sector, we don't crack off so easily. It takes time. So the viewers, they'll go sideways more than say go down a lot. So you don't expect more than a 15 to 30% fall in most of them. And they corrected 15-20% in the last fall. So the viewers, as of now, let them consolidate. Not the place to focus, not the area to focus as of now.
Point taken. Kunal, what's your view on Titan? Is it seeing a bit of a breakout right now? And Ease My Trip?
Yeah, Ease My Trip, again, I don't track that, so I'll skip it. But I think Titan is a very interesting name because the stock when it was at sub 1,000 levels almost a month and a half out back, it looked like that the stock was getting into a breakdown mode. And it's been almost 1.5 odd month, and the stock has shown a V-shaped recovery, breaking past about 3,200, 220, which was the previous high that was in the month of July second half. So it's managed to cross over those major resistances, which means now we are talking of 3,200 acting as a fresh base or a support for Titan. So it looks attractive. Today's move also reinstates the fact that the stock is trying to get into a breakout mode above that a breakout zone of 3,200 level. So keeping that as a stop loss, I think traders can hold on to the long positions.
Okay. Well, earlier in the day we had we had interaction with Atul Surya in PSU banks and also Gautam from Motilal Oswal Securities on where they feel that the PSU banking space in the near term is headed. Let's revisit an excerpt of that conversation.
What's surprising me is that after a phenomenal 22, they're also having a very good 23. And that really shows that, yes, when decadal trends change, it doesn't end in a year. It actually gets elongated. In fact, the whole PSU basket, if you see, it's not just banks, it's defense stocks. It's a lot of these, infra kind of plays. These are like everyone, people who've been in the market for 20, 30 years have sworn we'll never buy PSUs because many times in their life they tried and they burned their fingers. They've given back 40, 50% drawdowns that have happened.
If the policy momentum disrupts in any way, irrespective of what is happening to their business, if there is a policy change, then the PE multiples can crash.
Okay.
Because they're end of the day government entities. Yeah. Their working capital balance sheets are very different because their biggest customer is government. Second, if for whatever reason the execution suffers, a lot of things have to fall in place for execution to materialize. So even if the policy momentum is supportive, but execution is not supportive and execution falls apart, then there is a possibility of a crack.
So that's the view coming in on defense, PSUs as a pack and also the banking names. But Varun, coming back to the conversation, you don't track the defense names too actively, but then which are the spaces where you have the top bets within?
You're very positive right now on autos, and particularly not only autos, but the discretionary space overall. So if you see there's a rising trend which is going on, everyone's trying to upgrade. I have personally met about most of the auto companies recently in the last couple of weeks. And what I'm gathering is that there is a big surge in terms of what people are wanting in terms of premiumization. I met the two-wheeler players, met the four-wheeler players. Everyone has a view that people want to buy this premium and the super premium vehicles. And also in that, they want to buy the topmost category. So my biggest bet right now is two-wheelers, very positive on all three, Bajaj Auto, TVS, and Hero MotoCorp. So these three are the top ideas there, which I would like. Apart from this, I think there is also a clear trend in terms of CVs, that CVs are also doing well. And the trend is continuing. They are in an up cycle, which is going on. So autos, particularly overall as a pack, two-wheelers, four-wheelers and CVs looks fine to me. In terms of discretionary, I think the trend in these pipe companies, cable companies, etc., are going to continue. So we remain very positive, optimistic there. We are very positive on the entire cable space. Polycab is one of the ideas which we really like. Obviously, it's had a great run, but that's for a reason, and that's continuing also for a reason, because the outlook for the next at least 1.5 to 2 years looks very optimistic. So yeah, I mean, particularly the discretionary spaces where we are very, very positive.
On discretionary, especially the two-wheeler names, and also of course like Polycab, which has been doing rather well for itself, in fact up 45% in the last 3 months itself. But coming back to the market, and of course the stocks which are buzzing around continue to be banking names. So in my list of the top 10-15 stocks, it's banking names all the way, and then there is DB Realty. There's an Electronic Smart India, there's an SJVN, and then some other names like KIOCL, etc. are also featuring in the list. But also wanted your take regarding the diagnostic companies, because Varun, recently we've got a lot of reports talking about how that discounting war and the competition seems to be abating as far as diagnostic space is concerned. Any comment of you there?
Again, I mean, we don't have coverage of the diagnostic space, but just to mention, they saw the best of times when you had something like COVID, which was there. There was a reason why these companies were doing exceptionally well that time. That part is behind us. So that's where you're seeing the discounting war, etc. happening, because they're not getting that kind of revenue stream which was there that time, right? And doesn't look like that in the near future we're going to struggle with something soon. So probably that's the reason why there is a little bit of a discomfort amongst investors also in this space.
taken. In fact, on that note, let's slip into a very short break. And as we do that, listen in also to the commentary coming in from Thyrocare as well as Dr. Lal PathLabs about the competition and pricing in the sector.
Our core markets of tier 2 and beyond, continue to see healthy growth. We continue to expand deeper and deeper into India. And that strategy has been going well for us, quarter on quarter as we've been reporting. On the price front, I'm definitely seeing an easing off of price competition.
We talk about our company. I think we have seen sequentially also, we've seen good traction, and going forward, I am very hopeful that we will be doing good because the competition which was earlier is now stabilizing here. So I don't think price increase on routine is something we are considering, but on specialized, super specialized test, definitely we can think of.
Alright guys, now what do we have? We've got a market which is just not going anywhere, but the market rotation I think is very loud and profound. It's PSU banks all the way in terms of the real, go-to space. Varun, HDFC Bank a year ago was cheap, 2 years ago was great, 3 years ago was attractive. But in last 3 years, the stock has given no return. First, it was concerns before the merger. Now it is concerns after the merger. What are the concerns, I want to know?
It has been one stock which has been on the reasonable side in terms of multiples. It's just that, if you see across the banking pack, it's not that valuations are out of whack. So just before this break, we were having a discussion where you all were mentioning that banking stocks are flying in trade today, etc. So that's there for a reason, right? Banking stocks are reasonable if you see overall as a pack. What has happened in the last few years is that we have seen ICICI Bank taking a leap forward ahead of everyone else. And in banking, the beauty is that the what matters is how the overall leadership is taking things ahead and how things are moving, etc. So post this merger, people are just trying to see in HDFC how things are going to pan out, how things will be moving post merger, how synergies will play, etc. I think it is one of the best names to own with a 2-3 year perspective. I don't have any doubt about it. But yes, near term, the move is not happening, probably because the street is just waiting to see how things will pan out after the entire merger has taken place. But it's one name which definitely at this price should be there in the portfolio.
Central Bank is up 17%, Indian Overseas Bank is locked up, Dhanlaxmi Bank is up 10%. This is exactly what happened to power stocks, right? 10 days ago. Just about everything which had a prefix or suffix power, it went up. Yeah. Anything which has got to do with small PSU bank, it's up. It has happened in the past and it ended badly.
Yes.
Is this move just different, or this is just the beginning of another big move, and by the time we'll peak out, of course we'll peak out, but the peak is still a distance away?
Yes, that's exactly the point. Peak is still a distance away because these stocks are not showing any kind of a froth, at least as of now, because the indicators are nowhere close to overbought. But the concern is that with these smaller cap stocks participating or moving up higher, and the large cap ones still lagging a bit behind. So I think SBI is still at 605, 6 levels. It's still some 20-25 points away from the previous high. 630 I think approximately was the previous high for SBI. It's still off that high. So if the large cap starts to participate, then we may expect that the mid caps and small caps could probably have more distance on the upside. But if the large caps don't participate, and that I believe in the next couple of days, then I believe that this could be a more frothy move and one should start taking out profits over here.
TVS Motors, after a while this one is making a comeback. PFC looking strong. Nooresh, TVS Motors, this was like the star of 2022 and it's turning out to be another good patch for TVS Motors. How much more can this stock go, Nooresh? It's at 1600 or 1540 already.
So technically looked like it would have topped out at 1350 odd levels and did nothing for the next 2-3 months, and now we are into a fresh breakout about 1350, 1400. And every time the stock has made a breakout move, same way at say when it paused around 1000 to 1200, made a 15-20% move more. So from 1400, if I were to take a similar move at say 1600, 1650 should be a pause now. And this is the way it has continued, makes a move of 20%, then pauses for 3 months, again makes a move of 15-20%. So it's been a classical uptrend for the stock, overbought and been a way bigger outperformer in the whole pack. So for now, it's time to trail the positions, cannot buy at current levels, but given the previous history, could be 1600, 1650 where it could pause.
When the markets go higher and when the underlying businesses go higher, holding companies, they start moving up. So let's look at it. Tata Investments, Godrej Industries, Cholamandal, there are JSW Holdings, there are a lot of these holding companies which now automatically will start moving up. So if you are frankly asking, if somebody is looking for a new small theme within a theme, I think holding companies, the discount normally typically gets narrowed down when the bull market is in its full bloom, so to speak. So Cholamandal Financial Holdings, watch out for this one. You got JSW Holdings. I don't know how much holding is of JSW Holding is there in the JSW port, which is planning to go public. But yeah, I mean, this entire space now could be the other Kahoot, which could be important. Then you've got very differentiated names which are moving up today. You've got EKI Energy Services. They've got everything to do with, I think, ESG benefits. Then you've got, I don't track this one, but KIOCL. I don't track this one. And then you've got GMR Power and Urban Infra. So really very stretched kind of market breadth, so to speak. Varun, so what are your top 3 ideas right now for next couple of years? I mean, 1, 2, 3 market cap agnostic.
So as I mentioned to you, I'm very positive on the two-wheeler pack. So you can pick any of them, TVS, Bajaj, Hero Moto from here. On the small mid-cap side, if you want to know an idea, I think I'll be very positive on a stock named EMIL, which we covered. So electronic march is something which I'm very positive on. Apart from this, we are very positive. So we are working on some companies, don't have coverage yet, but yeah, we have seen some names which are looking quite promising, something like a Stylem, something like a Venus Pipe, etc. So yeah, we are evaluating a lot of names, but yet to have a formal coverage on those. But yeah, things are looking very promising from a small mid-cap side still, the way businesses are. Yeah.
On the small and mid-cap space. Thanks, Varun, for making time and speaking with us. And